Hello, I'm David Morris. We all have a favourite car, and here in my hometown of Hobart this weekend, there's a Jaguar convention, and so all these fabulous heritage cars from all over Australia are here being displayed in Hobart. Beautiful Jags from nearly 100 years ago right through to the latest models. It's very interesting, and it's very interesting how cars really bring out our passion. You know, cars are so important to our lives, and it makes you think about what are cars in the future going to be like. We're going through this process now of changing to electric vehicles, to autonomous driving vehicles in the future. In fact, we're probably going through this process in this decade, just like in the 1920s to the 1930s. In about one decade, we moved from horses to horseless carriages becoming the norm, and equally in the next decade we're probably transitioning to electric vehicles and to autonomous vehicles. And that change, instead of coming out of Europe and the US as it did 100 years ago, it seems to be coming out of China this time. So we've had the competition the last couple of years between Tesla and BYD, very large, both of them in the Chinese market, where EVs are about half of the consumer market now, new cars coming onto the market. And there's so much excitement about new models coming, and they're not coming from conventional car companies. In fact, the conventional car companies have really fallen behind in the new style cars. So BYD was a battery manufacturer, and yet they're now the world's biggest car producer. Huawei, which of course was leading the world in 5G wireless technology, and probably for that reason is pretty unpopular in the United States. But Huawei got into the car industry because they were being blocked from accessing the very advanced semiconductors by the US sanctions. And so Huawei moved into partnering with car companies, essentially for the reason that the cars of the future are going to have to be connected to the wireless network. It's about being connected to the Internet of Things. But interestingly, Huawei decided not to brand the cars themselves, but to partner with other car companies in China. And so they have cars that have Huawei inside, kind of like we used to say Intel inside in computers. But now, the really exciting story coming out of China is the number 3 smartphone producer is Xiaomi. This is a company that is increasingly well known around the world for producing phones that are as exciting to use as iPhones, but much cheaper. So it's like a cheaper version of an iPhone. And Xiaomi have got into the car business. They've just released a car on the Chinese market that is challenging the big ones. It's challenging Tesla and BYD. It's price competitive, and Xiaomi is arguing, and this is where my thoughts come from the Jaguar rally this weekend in Tasmania, because Xiaomi is playing for the heartstrings. They're trying to attract the consumers to have a loyalty to their brand by making their cars super cool and making the experience of owning a Xiaomi as exciting as owning a Xiaomi smartphone, and actually integrating that experience. So when you buy the Xiaomi car, the argument is you're buying into a whole network of connectivity. And so really the car of the future perhaps is a smartphone on wheels.